Okay, this is after I think I left the baking soda water on my hair, I swear to God, like a half hour or something. And then I rinsed that out, and then I put the vinegar, the apple cider vinegar water on my hair and let that sit, I don't know, like 5 or no, probably more like 10 minutes or something. I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was scrubbing my feet or something. I don't know. So I let it sit on there for a while. Then I rinsed it. And so it's clean, but it's just so weird. One thing, though, I just got to keep, I mean, you can't really judge the first month that you're doing it or something, because you get so much of that sebum stuff. It is like a ton of it goes up. And so you got to go through that, like the purge part of it. So see, I don't think it's going to keep being like this. And it's crazy because I like how it gives it like texture, like it will sit there like that. The thing is, more of it just feels so different. It feels weird. It is, you know, and it looks kind of, you know, different and stuff. I don't know. I think once, you know, everybody starts not using chemicals on their hair, everybody's hair start looking different. So, and I think you just kind of got to get used to it. I am getting more used to it, you know, but it is weird because you do keep thinking like, oh, my hair's dirty. It's how it feels is the thing. It's like, it just feels like heavier. It just feels like when you're like, oh, my hair's dirty. And then you go in, you strip it. So it's light and flowy. And that is, it's not good for our hair. So, but, you know, they tell us to do that. Then we get used to doing it. We think that's the only way to do that. And, you know, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of things about our natural, you know, that we got to get more tuned into or something, you know. And it's weird to notice like how it feels weird. Like you feel like, oh, my hair's dirty. I got to go wash it, just because the feeling. And then when you start thinking, okay, well, this is what hair is supposed to feel like. So, you know, I can't go against what my hair feels like. Tell, no, hair, you're not supposed to feel that way. You're supposed to feel this other way that feels light and fluffy. So anyways, I don't know. And, you know, it's up to each person anyways, you know, what they want to do about getting off the chemicals and stuff. And it's up to each person to do their own research and decide, you know, what things they want to do and what things they don't want to do. And there's definitely things that are affecting our hair. So, you know, I would say try different things. I mean, they're putting out so much medicine about, you know, about hair loss and stuff like that. It's because they're doing it. They're creating this hair loss. There's probably would be no baldness at all if it weren't for all the chemicals and the frequency and all of the toxins and shit like that. Is probably just all of our bodies responding to it. So, I mean, there could be some guys that don't have very much hair, some girls or something, but for, you know, I mean, we've got tons and tons of people who have perfectly normal, healthy hair, and now all of a sudden their hair is falling out, it's weak, it's fragile. I just can't believe all this stuff goes on, and these girls just keep going and doing these chemical assaults on their hair. But then you see these videos where all their hair's falling out. Is because it's time to start paying attention. It's time to get out of this shallow, artificial way of doing things and seeing things. And it's the universe is pushing, you know, that's the hand of God. This thing that people think, the hand of God, it's right here. The hand of God is right here. It's showing you. It's showing you, like, you know, and it's making it so clear. I mean, most people can recognize good and bad right now. Like, well, it depends on how it affects them, you know. Like, a lot of people can recognize when they're coming in and attacking them. But, like, watching those girls attacking those other people, and then all these people are on the side of the attackers because these people made a mistake. It's like, man, it's just really disturbing to me. You know, that's not an advanced soul. That's not about forgiveness and not judging. That is, you know, what gets people to be so desperate, to be so hateful. Like if somebody doesn't like them or something, you know, what is the drive to get them to be so ugly and hateful? Especially it's trippy, you know, when you're doing it on such a public platform. And it's like, oh, who would want to go out with someone like that? Like, and then all of the relationship, I don't know if it's just the guys who are doing the editing or the producers or whatever. Maybe they just never liked Katie and always made her look like such a sourpuss and so controlling of Tom. She was always ridiculing him. And then he would ridicule her publicly. And that is what, you know, my mom and my stepdad's relationship was like. It was so toxic like that. They were so rude to each other all the time. And it was so uncomfortable to be around them. Like anybody who's been around a couple that gets to that point knows it's so uncomfortable. And why do people just feel like they have to stay? They've gotta, you know, they're miserable. They're hateful towards each other. They are, for their own soul, for their own sake, they're doing all of this negative stuff that is going to make you feel like shit. You know, it's going to make you feel bad about yourself at some point. I mean, as long as you're in victim role, as long as you're in that role, then it's everybody else's fault. But as soon as you try and move out of that role, you know, it's a dark hall to get to the empowerment, because you got to go through the dark night of the soul. You got to go through the part to allow your own self to be empowered, to not play the victim anymore. Because the victim it's a dark role. And you know, and I know it's a role that is being purged out right now. I think that is why there was so much support for that side of the room when it's the dark side of the room. But that is for each person to begin to recognize dark to light, you know, to see. You know, just because someone makes a mistake or does something doesn't mean they're dark or low vibration. They're living their life and learning and experiencing and trying to understand. It's when we turn around and, you know, shame them and tell them, how dare you? How dare you? And, you know, especially when it comes to love, you know, and there's a whole thing that we're going to learn and expand on love. But where we were coming and where we're going is there's two different things. So we have to, you know, see it, you know, and understand it. And, you know, the problem is so many people are looking for themselves in somebody else. And then when they find something that they feel similar, then they feel like it is, you know, that this is the relationship for them. And it's, and it is weird because that is real, you know, like you'll know the relationship for you. So it's not like they're doing it wrong, but those lessons, all of that stuff was supposed to happen. That's what people have got to stop seeing or stop. It changes your approach when you understand that was supposed to happen. They didn't do something to you. You came in to experience this. So you can sit back and cry and slam your feet and fist on the ground and, you know, curse the gods and, you know, whine to everybody in the whole fucking world. But you came in to have that experience. You came in to go through that. And, you know, and if you don't understand that kind of stuff, then I would say read more about reincarnation. Start understanding it's reprogramming yourself. They've programmed you into a different way of thinking. And so they've really limited your abilities to see things differently because they had to control you. You can't go and be open-minded and see things differently. Like they couldn't control me in the same way, although they had such control over me in areas I had no idea. And so it's all a spectrum. But there's so many people who are so mind controlled, like just so mind controlled. Just jump on. It's like a gang. That is like the stuff he showed in Twilight Zone all the time. It's mindless. And people have noticed this. They've made the point, you know, about the sheep and the lemmings, and it's proven in studies that people have studied this stuff. You know, like a group of people would stand and watch somebody be murdered until one of the people can actually pull themselves free from the group. Because they're so worried about what the group is thinking. What is the group going to think of me? Why aren't they jumping out? Maybe they start questioning all that. You know, it's weird. But that is the consciousness you know, to me, is why the souls are here. To learn those things, to see those things, to experience those things, to see yourself so you can break free, so you can start standing on your own, independent as an independent thinker. You don't need the group to stand there and say, yeah, she's right, you know, and it's very, very uncomfortable. And I mean, it's the stuff nightmares are made of. It's the nightmare of standing in front of the classroom with no clothes on. You know, it's those kinds of very exposed. You're exposing yourself on the inside, and you're letting people see you're raw. And so it is, it's a very vulnerable place to be. And, you know, and it takes a lot to get there. You know, I've got this lady on my mind, and I've talked about her before. And I've seen her videos ran across my thing a couple times recently. And, she was the one who was talking about the ice wall and the, angels or something, you know, and to me, it's all in perception, and her perception is changing. Like, she is somebody, I think, you know, she's a spiritual person, but I could see that she still wasn't, you know, all the way awake or whatever, because there's a lot of them. Like, there's a lot of spiritual people who are out there guiding people who are not awake and not healed. And that is just, you know, I've been saying it for a while, and that, but it's up to each person, you know. I mean, it's the dependency of needing, somebody else. I just saw this girl, and she was all upset, and she was like, because of all of the, you know, the people who want to go out and heal, they think that they need these people to help them heal, these healers and stuff like that. And people are being taken advantage of. And you got to think of it is because, you know, this is the beginning of the awakening when these people started with the tarots and the healing and the Reiki and so many life coaches. I don't know, you know, where they got, you know, where they think that they're so smart about their life that they can charge $600, you know, to guide somebody else or something. But, that's each of those people's lessons. Like, you don't meet people by accident. The people that you come across are the people you're supposed to come across. And so it's part of your lessons. So it's not just somebody ripping you off. It is a part of your lessons. And the lessons is for you to grow, to see, like, you know, why am I dependent? Why would I pay somebody else? You know, why don't you need to learn to trust yourself. And I saw this one girl who was just like crying about, you know, she just really wants to heal. And, you know, there's a whole problem with the psychologist. And, like, there's so many problems. You can have insurance problems. You can have location problems. You can have, I mean, there's a lot of different things. And people are running into these obstacles. And they want to heal. And they're, you know, when you start realizing how unhealed you are, and you start noticing that your responses and reactions and your relationships are all reflective of your own broken parts, and you feel desperate to want to fix them, you know, and so then you go out and you start trying to look, and you got these, you know, egomaniacs are going to charge you a fortune. And people like me, we've all been censored. We've been, you know, hidden in the closet, because there's a lot of us who have already done the healing, and we didn't have anything. We had to do it ourselves, and we can be out here sharing how to do it because, you know, we had to. And it is a lot to get through. You know, there's a lot of stuff. You need support. You need, you know, that's the best part about like AA and stuff, is a support group. People need support groups. They don't need somebody that they have to go pay to tell them. And then you got to think like these life coaches that, you know, they've got all these different people. They're juggling everybody else's life and making decisions that you don't, you know, you've got to learn that your decisions are your own. They're your consequences. They're your celebrations. It's all for you. And it's scary to make a decision when something could go wrong. You know, it's very scary, but you gotta see like, okay, if it goes wrong, that's because I'm learning something. Nothing's going wrong. I'm just learning something. I was just hoping it was going to be something different, but instead I'm here to learn. And so, you know, take it on. Like if you go to another country, you know, and you want to get everything you can from that experience, take it on like that. You're in another country. You're on an adventure. You've started this this relationship, this adventure, this whatever, you know. So it is, and everything ends. There is nothing that just lasts forever and ever and ever. And, I mean, we're going into a time, though, where it's going to be more like that, where, you know, I mean, there's literally beings that were alive at the beginning of man that are still alive. You know, we don't have to die. Like there's Arcturians and stuff that have been, they've not changed, they've stayed in the same incarnation or as that being for all that time, you know. And you know, and then there's those of us like the travelers and stuff. There's people who come in to learn. There's like, everybody's doing their own things. It's experiences. It is just like, you know, if everybody went on vacation, we're not all going to be at the same place at the same time. We all have different ideas of what a vacation is, what we want to do on a vacation, where we want to go, what do we want to experience. And so it is the same for the soul. And then plus the soul is very specific over what it's trying to learn. And it's got all this whole group that it is exchanging learning activities with throughout its lifetime. So it's very complex, and it isn't, it should be appreciated. People don't have enough gratitude. Instead, there's like, they're fighting it. They're fighting the current. They're fighting the energy of life. They're trying to control something that they don't have control over. And fate and destiny, you can't control fate and destiny. It's its own thing. You have to recognize it and give it gratitude. Give it your approval. You know, don't, oh, that's not the future I was planning. I had a different one in mind. It's like, go and cross over and then go rewrite it and tell yourself when you get over there. Because once you get over there and you leave the game and you're standing there, then you get a very different perspective. You have a different perspective while you're in the game, because you don't have clarity, because it's part of the game to make the game more effective. And so once you cross out, then you see the error of your own ways. And you, like I said, you are in judgment of self. You're the one who's disappointed with yourself. And it happens, like, go and read about near-death experience people. And read, you know, listen to what they say about the life review. Go and read a whole bunch of different ones. And you determine for your own self. Don't just believe something because I say it. Go read this stuff and you decide. And the thing is, that when you're asking your guides and stuff to show you, they'll bring you to the right thing. Like you talk to them, like, I really want to understand blah, blah, blah. And you go to the library and the book, you can't see any other book but this one book. And that book doesn't even make sense. I don't even understand, why is that book? That's the only book I can see. Every time I try and read these other ones, my brain like fizzles. So grab that book and then read it. That book is going to hold information. They're speaking to you through their own language. And sometimes, like I said, it's so trippy. Like some movie that I've never even heard of or whatever, it'll come on and it'll be like a really weird. And then it will be exactly having stuff that I've been talking to them about. So, you know, you got to open your mind to that this is real. Like they really can. Like there's still so many people who question about not serendipity, synchronicities and stuff that they think no, what is that other word? Not consequences. It's called I have too many words. Wait a second. Well, I think everybody else who's hearing it already knows the word. So anyways, so many people think that coincidences, they think, oh, well, you know, it's a coincidence. No, there's no coincidences. Everything is in total perfect alignment. And it is exactly for your learning, your teaching, all of that stuff is just that you've been focused outside of that. And so now in the awakening, and you are, all that stuff is going to become more real, you know. And another thing too, I saw this, the lady who I was talking about, the one who was talking about the angels on the ice wall, because I also saw another video where another person was talking about, this is the time, talking about religion and all this stuff, that we're breaking free from all this stuff, because that is the old-fashioned way of thinking. And all this stuff that I have been saying, see, I know that I'm right about this stuff. But that is because it was holding us back from our true potential of who we truly are. It was all created to control us and to hold us back. So, you know, as part of, and you have to really like yourself and love yourself to believe that you are, you know, of a high value, you know. So that's why healing is a part of the whole thing. But the one lady who was talking, her video, the ice wall lady, she was doing her video towards people who call themselves healers and tarot readers and stuff. Because she said what she keeps seeing is these healers and stuff going and whining about how, you know, they just tried to help this person and, you know, all of their shit is falling apart. And so she was speaking to them, and she was saying, you know, there's healers out there healing who aren't healed have no business out there telling other people how to heal. If you haven't healed, you shouldn't be affected, and you shouldn't be pushing. You shouldn't think like, oh, that person needs my healing. That is your ego. And so you've got to get control of that. Like me going out and saying this stuff, I'm not going and blasting somebody and telling them. So, but I have done that before. I mean, it is a part of, in the spiritual awakening, you do go through a part where you feel like you got to help everybody else. You got to get them to wake up and stuff like that. And so I've learned through, like, you know, no, I got to trust, like, they've got their own timing on their awakening. And it really, really taught me is like, you can sit there and tell them things. You can point things out. And it's the same thing as like going into the library and all you can see is that one book. They cannot hear what they're not supposed to hear. It doesn't make sense to them. It's just a bunch of gibble. And so you're trying to explain something and get them to awaken to see what you see. And they can't. It's all jumbled because it's not their time. When it's their time, it will become crystal clear. And it will be because, you know, it's divine timing. It is how everybody is supposed to line up. It's everybody's own lessons and everybody coming together in their own process. So it is, nobody's doing it wrong. That is our own ego when we start getting all in that we need to fix them. You know, we're superior. We figured it out. We won. We won the game. We figured it out. And so we're going to help you win. But when you really win the game is when you realize, like, oh no, they're all on their own. I was on my own. And you know, your timing is your timing. It's how things are supposed to play out is how they're going to play out for you. There is no, we are not doing all of this stuff that we think we're doing. But so anyways, so she was talking to these people, these healers, and saying about, you know, you shouldn't be out there telling people how to heal when you aren't healed. You got to recognize you're not healed. You wouldn't, and she was trying to explain this stuff, but this is what I have been saying, and she said it, and she was saying it really good, but that is what I've been saying. You have all these people out there that aren't awake, talking about awakened stuff. You have all these people out there who are not healed, telling other people how to heal. But it's every single soul coming to their own conclusions in their own reality. So, you know, you're learning stuff by those kinds of things, by things going wrong, by, you know, doing something stupid. You're learning from those things. Those things are there to teach you. They aren't there to punish you or something. As your opportunity to see, like, yeah, man, so, fuck, I'm really kind of in my ego. Why do I think I know what's wrong with other people? Like, I can be around people. I can see, but it's not my place. That is me being able to be a seer and see things that other people can't see. Doesn't mean that it is my duty to push on them. I can share what I see. So I can share on here what I see. And then people who are interested, then they can come. And then the way I see it is that you have your own translation device. Your soul is its own translation going. And you go out and you listen to people talk. The more the merrier, because then they will ignite something in you. So it is like your core memories are being reignited. So it's like your DNA is coming on. So you go on and you listen to people and they say, you know, weird things or whatever is what you're drawn to. It's the stuff that you're, you know, the things that come to you are the things that are supposed to come to you. And so the people that come to you, that are talking to you, like, you don't have to go out and pay somebody to help you figure this stuff out. You have to be opening your mind. The desire is the biggest thing, you know, the desire to want better for yourself, to heal, opening your mind and realizing that you have beings around you that are guiding you and trying to help you. You know, realizing things is about energy. And I just think, you know, I mean, my spiritual learning has been for you know, it's been such a long one. I mean, I've been doing it for like 40 years. I started in my 20s. I mean, I think I was 20. I still went to church, my mom, because when we went to Colorado, my mom became really good friends with the pastor and his wife, and they were really young. And she would always be trying to get me to go to the church because really, people really did believe like you were a lost soul. Like, people don't understand this, this separation where there's so many atheists now and so many people who don't claim the church and are against the church. That's new. That was not like it back then. No, you, that would be, I was in the front of that line. And that line just got bigger and bigger as time went. But that is part of the human process. And everybody has their own in the different variant of the energy. I see it as like a color variant. And then the different people, you experience things at different times. But when I did, it was very different. Like now, it's, you know, it can be pretty safe. I mean, the Christians, it's so crazy because like the healers and stuff, those are the progressives. Those are, the spiritual people are more the progressive people. And see, and that's why a lot of them were atheists and stuff, you know, a few weeks before they started awakening. You know, they didn't believe in anything. And then, you know, and I don't know. I mean, they all have their own things. Some people awaken to nature and get really into nature. And so, like, everybody has their own things. But they're just awakening. These aren't people who have been awakened a long time and are healed or anything. No, these are people who are living. A lot of them are living really toxic lives, but they say they're focused on spirituality. So therefore they are, you know, on the right path, and they're so judgy of each other and stuff like that. They're so judgmental. But but that is like the progressives, the Christians, they're the conservatives. So the conservatives, they aren't the ones out there doing the healing and stuff. Those are more of people like who have left the church. They're more people like me who've left the church and went towards spirituality. And but they're not Christians and stuff out there doing healing and stuff like that. I mean, if there is, then that is like a new kind of thing that somebody's just starting, you know, because they're way more of like everything's a god, or you think you're a god, and everything's devils and angels and stuff. Like, they see things in a very primitive way of looking at things. you know, but they're programmed. So they're programmed to see things that way. But in the two groups, like you have the Christian, the conservative people, and then you have the progressives who are like the fake spiritual fake healers, because they haven't done the work yet. Neither group has done the work. You see, neither group has done the work to healing. And I mean, you have some healers who are just starting, you know, and this kind of stuff is starting them, but it is a big journey. It is a big thing because you are trying to figure out stuff. And so, you know, those people, you know, it's going to take them a minute to start seeing like, oh, I'm not healed. I'm being triggered. So I need to go in on my triggers. No, they're going through the victim part, you know. Poor them. I saw that this was so... This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I saw this lady. She was what was she? A masseuse? I'm pretty sure she was a masseuse. And she was having this bitch-ass, long-ass video to complain because somebody called her at 5:30 in the morning on a Sunday. Or Saturday or Sunday morning at 5:30 in the morning. She just couldn't get over it. She just... I mean, 5:30 in the morning, and you're calling me. You know, she's just having and I, you know, I don't keep my phone next to my bed. My phone's in a completely different room. It's on airplane. No, it's always on airplane mode, but I put it on the do not disturb at night. And, you know, my kids learned a few years back, like if there's an emergency, you just call the person's number twice, and then it will start ringing. So you call, hang up, and then you call back, and you can break through the do not disturb. So if there's an emergency, you can still somebody can still get a hold of you. But so this, but I said, you know, put your phone on do not disturb until you get up. Like, what? Like, what are you, like, oh, what? It seems like an easy fix. Instead, but no, how dare these other people? See, these people all think like it's focused on the people out there. You need to change, you need to change, you need to change. Don't do this, don't do that. And then I can be happy. How many people need to change for you to be happy? It is surprising because I have so many people, you know, who will come in and tell me, you know, what I need to think about, what I need to talk about, what I need to focus on. It's like, well, what? How do people not see? Like, you're trying to put how you want to live your life. You're trying to put that on another person. That's very controlling. You're very judgmental if you think that you need to, you know better than that other person. Stella, what is it? We've had a rough night, really rough. And she keeps licking this one paw, and I think all her feet and stuff. But, you know, I still see improvement on the borax thing. So, you know, and I still don't even think she's been on it a month. I can't remember. I'd have to replay the video. But I think it's like maybe we're at 3 weeks or something. I don't think we're quite at a month. But I see a lot of improvement. But she definitely is having a lot of pain. But like I said, I mean, we're getting just, I mean, it's chemical after chemical after chemical. And so, you know, I don't know. It's going to be a fight for our health until, you know, to me, those med beds, once those med beds, that is just going to make all the difference in the world. As when everything is going to start changing, there'll still be people who will go towards Western medicine because they're so programmed. But the more that they see, and I've seen now where, you know, the people who really care about helping people with their health, they are going more naturopathic and opening other kind of healing clinics and centers. And those can end up being where we're going to go to for med beds and stuff, you know. It's going to be different in all different areas. And so, you know, in some areas, I mean, fuck, I don't know, maybe they're going to put them in at the library. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm talking about where I'm at. Like, there's not a lot of places. Like, I don't even know. Like, they'd have to maybe put in a whole healing center. Maybe we'd all have to go to Bellingham. But to me, there's going to have to be lots and lots of them. There's going to be so many people. especially once people start seeing, like, you know, people who are paralyzed and amputees and stuff can go in and heal that. And, you know, it's gonna be so fucking cool when this shit starts going. You know, I'm super excited. Now I've barely been even talking and she's already having a fit. Yesterday I couldn't believe how long I was talking. And I'm sitting in this little, you know, this chair. And so I was sitting here. I didn't even realize it was over 2 hours. And when I stood up, it was like, oh my God. I was so stiff. So I move all the time. I'm always moving. I have a lot of energy inside of me. I'm always moving. Now I can't focus very well. Maybe she'll calm down and see. So there's more stuff with the quantum thing. People are looking it up. You can look it up for yourself. I can't tell you all the different links and stuff that this one person was showing. But it shows that the quantum system is running now. It is running in parallel. And see, that's what I'm saying. There's going to be some intersection where the one is going to take over and the other one isn't. I just did not think we were going to go on to the Fed now. And I'm hoping that that is just some bullshit that somebody is saying just to get people nervous, to get people to wake up and talk more about it. Because that's what they do, is they drop little thought bombs out there into the world. So we talk about things and we get that energy out. It's like the 100th monkey. Get that energy out into the collective. And so, you know, I don't know, though, if we're really going to have to go on to the Fed now, or if we're going to actually go straight to the quantum. But the quantum, once it goes quantum, you know, then we're going to, the people who are on that, already working on their healing and stuff, things are going to just so improve in people's lives. It is going to be such a huge improvement, but it's going to be those people's lives improving is what's going to be the motivating factor for other people to, you know, keep going on the journey and to keep trying and to see. It's going to be, there's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be the other people's light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to be like that is like holding the light for people so they can see light at the end of the tunnel. And it gives them, okay, well, they did it. If they did it, I can do it. You know, and that is what I think that is a part of, like, where that hierarchy and one up and people comes from. But it is a good motivation for people, you know, like, well, if they did it, I can do it. And so people need that, and especially right now, why people are so beat down and so just worn out. And there's so many weird things. Like Australia is telling pregnant women not to travel to America because there's too much problems with traffic. So that stuff is being said in other countries, but it is so that, you know, kind of gets back to us. So we hear, because it's for the people who aren't awake yet. Like those of us who know this stuff and know about the dangers and everything that's going on. You know, then we are the ones that we get frustrated. But the frustration, and that is your trigger. That is your signal. That's your sign of what you need to work on. And I can't tell you what you need to work on. You have to go in and ask yourself what you need to work on. And that is what I'm talking about. Like if you keep trying to figure it out, like that girl who was like, you know, she feels like she needs to go to a counselor, or she, you know, needs somebody to help her heal. And but you don't need anybody to help you heal. What you need is time to yourself. That is important, you know. And I've been fortunate enough that I got to have, you know, a cabin in the woods and to really take time to myself. And even when you know, I mean, before, when quarantine started, I wasn't just planning on isolating myself like this. And the universe pushed, you know, said, yeah, well, that's what you're going to do. It's time. Because I had been healing. And so it was like a whole nother level. Like I'm saying, there's levels. There's lots of levels to this. And so it was a whole nother level once I got into isolation and really started communicating with my guides all the time. Like, it was like another level. because I was before, but when you don't have anybody else to talk to and then all you can hear, and then when you're healed, you don't have so much noise going on. So your communication is a lot more clear. And you'll see they're trying to talk to you with the numbers. Like when you start seeing the number patterns, you can see like, okay, they're trying to talk to me. So how do I become a better listener? How do I start translating? What are they trying to tell me? And they have to use, I mean, they don't just speak English, even when you can hear words. It could be, a soul that has been here and I can understand and can communicate to you differently. But there's also, telepathy goes out. That it's an energy, and you pick up the energy so that you can understand. But you have to work on your understanding. That's why, I share a lot of the stuff that they show me or tell me or something, because it is learning a language. It's learning how to translate your communication. And so I think if I share mine, then that can help you to recognize your own, because that is what you need more than going and paying people to help you heal. And especially these life coach healers who are charging exorbitant amounts of money. That's not spiritual. Is a different energy. You don't charge for God's word. Every Bible should be free. Like when you go to the hotels, and I don't know if they still do. They used to put them in the drawers so you could take a Bible with you, because God's word is free. So the universal intelligence communicating with you, that is free. They're not charging me. They're not telling me, hey, I'm going to charge you for this because I know you're going to make money off it. They're not doing that. They're just giving information to help us to make choices to have a better life so that we can feel better. We can feel more content. We can use our time more efficiently towards our purpose, what we're here to accomplish, what we're here to do, when we're not fighting the system. We're not fighting reality. We're not fighting destiny. Instead, we are, it is a completely different thing. I mean, they show me so much about the river rafting thing. And, if you've ever done, I have done one. It's so fun. But I didn't do one that had 4. I think it goes to a 5. I think I did a 3 was the top, because you can do 1s. I think that was barely going. A 2 is like a second. And then 3 is worse. And then a 4. And then 5 is like, ah. But I don't know. The numbers could go up. I'm definitely not an expert. But it's definitely a reference that they can give me that I can understand what they're showing me and telling me about fighting the current, fighting when you're on the raft and you're going through the rough times. You've got to be in, it's like dancing. It's like dancing with life. You've got to get into that rhythm. You've got to get into motion with the ride instead of fighting. And fighting against the motion will, get you knocked out of the boat. So it's the same kind of concept with life. You don't want to be fighting it. You want to ride it. You want to dance with it. Dance with the energy of life. And some of it's a tango. Some of it's a waltz. Some of it is a foxtrot. I have no idea what that wave was about. Hold on. That was like this huge wave of emotion. I don't even know what it was about. I could see the different dancing and stuff, and see, I can get what that maybe is just, when you get it, you get so excited or something. I don't know. But it's like, it's, You know, life is when you can get into the movement. Life is your dance partner, you know, and you don't know if they're about to dip you. You don't know if you're about to be twirled. I mean, I think that there's signs when you're reading the signs that's showing you, you know, and it's listening to you. You know, Ariana proved that. Was more proof. I found that fascinating watching that back. Is you know, when people are sitting there saying that they want change in their life, and then they're not doing anything, and the universe comes in and does it for them, but then they're not happy about what the universe did. It's like, well, you have to listen to your own self, and then you have to make better choices for yourself, so that you have to, you know, just the same thing as what I'm talking about with relationships and stuff. Like, your relationship is sour. You don't spend time together. You aren't, I mean, you're holding on to something. She was holding on to an idea, and he was ready to let it go. And he didn't want to hold on to that idea anymore. There was like his soul, it was like he got turned on. You know, he had gone dormant in his relationship, had just become like, you know, whatever. And then this other girl steps in and sparks him back to life. And then he would go back to the dormant part, and he would think, well, you know, he was wrong. Something was wrong with him. He was bad. I got to go back and force this. And then keep being uncomfortable. And keep trying to force it and force it. And you're uncomfortable. And it's like, I'm trying to do the right thing. But what is the right thing? Why do you think the right thing is to force something that isn't good for you, that you're not happy? And then even when the universe showed you, look, you can be happy, you still went back and tried to force something because you want it. Like, this is what people have got to realize. Like, who am I trying to please here? Am I trying to please this partner? And this partner is just getting more and more, you know, controlling and more angry and stuff because it's out of balance. And, it's becoming toxic. And so the person who, you know, is trying to, you know, shame themselves, and I'll just, you know, force myself to be miserable so that I can be a good person. So, and who told you that that was part of it? You got to be miserable to be a good person. Did somebody tell you that? Is that something you came up with on your own? Because that's programming. It doesn't make any sense. It is these structures, these things that we hold on to. Like, I got to hold on to this relationship, but, you know, you don't. You know, as soon as you can leave the game, you are with them all the time. You don't have, it's an illusion. And so you don't have to hold on to these things that you feel so powerless and helpless. And, you know, it is those things inside of you. Those are the things you're trying to heal. This powerlessness, helpless, this feeling of lack, of insecurity. Those are what you're trying to heal. Seems like good stuff to heal. So, you know, when he's going back and he's trying to hold on to this relationship, he's dragging it out. And, you know, and I'll say from personal experience, and I've talked about this before with the first boyfriend I broke up with, that I had met somebody else at the gas station, the guy who pumped my gas, who was flirting with me, who wanted to go out there. I was like 16 years old. And but the 19-year-old fella who liked me, he already had put a ring on it, you know, and he wanted to, I mean, he had claimed me already. And I was like, you know, I was uncomfortable. And so the boy at the gas station who was flirting, she was probably even older. He was probably 25 or something. I'm telling you, I went out a lot. I mean, I didn't go out with young guys. It was always older guys who were always after me. But so I went and broke up with my boyfriend. And his grandpa had just died. And it was one of the cruelest things. It was very, very cruel. So I completely relate with Tom of, you know, like, fuck, her dog just died. Her fucking dog, she's had 15 years, just died, and I'm supposed to go in and break up? Like, everybody's going to be like, oh, cool, cool, cool. Yeah. Yeah. So I completely, then her grandma dies right after. It was like, yeah, well, how do you go and just, now you're going to break up? Like, she, you know, she hadn't even healed from the dog. And now grandma died too. So I completely relayed with Tom, like, fuck, dude, how do you go in and do that? How do you go in and break up with somebody? And then how do you fight against this other thing? Your soul's pulling you in this other direction. And you gotta play the role of the bad guy. You gotta go in and you gotta just be the bad guy. You gotta, you know, and I mean, on theirs, you know, theirs is a whole giant public thing. Luckily, you know, we're not all experienced such public dramas, but, you know, a private conversation, which those people can't even get a private conversation. But, you know, there's got to be a point of telling the person. And then even when Tom was going back, you know, and had sex with her or whatever, you know, I saw somebody trying to, you know, force himself to be somewhere he didn't want to be, and trying to make something work that he knew wasn't going to work. But he felt like he was a bad person and he needed to do what was right for her. And this is what people got to see. You're not doing these people any favors by doing that. You got to stand up for yourself. You got to play the bad guy. Yeah, he should have just, you know, went and told her when the dog died. He should have said, you know, I'm really sorry, but I can't be there for you anymore. I'm just not in it anymore. You know, however you got to say it, you got to somehow, and the person is going to overreact. I mean, they're already in trauma. And he even said, when he even told her, he did tell her, and she said she was going to kill herself. So he backpedaled back. I've been there. I mean, I think a lot of us who are the givers have been there, where, you know, people don't want to lose you, and they're desperate to keep you, and they will kill themselves if you say you're going to leave. And, you know, and I've, you know, I've gone through that a lot of times, and I've told people, you know, women and men that I've gone through it with, and, you know, when I'm the bystander, it's not me going through the experience, it's someone else. I'm always, you can't listen. You know, if the person is going to do it, they're going to do it. You can't stop them. You definitely can't sit there in life and be somebody's, what is that thing? The thing you throw off a ship, the round thing, like it's not buoy, it's a life preserver. You can't be someone else's life preserver in life. You have to allow people to experience their own traumas so that they have consequences, so that they can heal. And that is when you get into this concept of understanding that there's a bigger design here, that person chose these experiences. These experiences are teaching them, even if they don't remember while they're doing it, and they don't remember till they get to their life review. I mean, anytime that you go through trauma and stuff, and then it feels so horrible, and you don't understand, and why is God doing this to you and stuff, and then you get through it, and you get to the end, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that was the best thing that ever happened to me. How in the world did I not see that you had to go through all of this stuff to get to the part? Those are the steps. That's why I said you can't skip steps. Every step matters. Every step you need to take matters. It all leads to the next step. So, but once you get through those, and you can look back and you'll be like, oh my gosh, that was the best thing. If I would have kept going the way I was going, where was I even going? What was I even doing? You know, you get a completely different outlook. And that is where you know, like, you know, healing makes a difference. And doing these things makes a difference in your life. And it is how you perceive, and how your perspective, your perception of life and living and stuff makes a big difference. And, you know, if you think everything is out to get you, then you're in defense. When you are coming at life like, oh, I wanted this to happen. I decided this is what I wanted. And a breakup happens. Then instead of, I mean, you got to go through your process of rejection. Those are what you are supposed to. It is coming in to create those things so you can heal those things, so that you can get to the next part. But you take them on very differently when you really recognize, okay, so this breakup just came in. So, you know, my life's about to really shake up. I'm about to really grow and heal and go on a new path. And so you go at it in a way that is, okay, this person left me. And so you've got to go through that part, just the abandonment, the rejection. And those things come up so that you can go back to old wounds and you can pull those old wounds forward. So the old wounds that come up while you're going through it, that is what you want to purge up. That's what you want to purge out. That's what you want to face. And that's why drinking and stuff through a breakup, you know, you're not using your time wisely. And, you know, you get broke up and then you just got to get drunk every day, sit with your friends, whine, talk about what a horrible person he is and stuff. Like, if that's part of your process, you know, as your process, it's not the only process. You know, there's other ways to process. You can easily, you know, go through your stuff, you know, take it on as like, okay, I'm injured. I'm emotionally injured right now. What do I want to do when I'm sick or injured? I want to be by myself. I want to spend time alone. In the time that you spend alone, then, you know, take care of yourself. You know, love yourself, treat yourself. And then you start thinking, you know, this is what I want. I want somebody who's like this for me. I want somebody who really cares about me and stuff. You start naturally raising the bar. You start being like, well, no, wouldn't be with somebody who do. And with the things you just left, you know, if the person had a temper or whatever, you start being like, you know, I'm not going back with somebody who's, you know, maybe it's the drinking with them. They drink every fucking day. And so, you know, maybe it's, you know, I'm not going to be with somebody who drinks every day again. You know, that's very toxic. If you can't spend time being sober, you know, then you know, what are you hiding from? And so, you know, it could be that realization. And then, you know, you start doing your healing and facing the stuff in isolation and really facing it, you know, and really seeing what it is there for you to see. You can heal it. It doesn't have to just drag out and drag out. Yeah, you are going to feel raw. It's an open wound. It's an open emotional wound. You can feel raw for a long time, but that doesn't mean you're broken or you need to stay in victim. You go through your process and do your healing and then just working on you. And it's still, I cannot even believe how many people think that they need to go out and date. They've got to get out there and find their person. That is not how it works. Like, you're just going out like you are overriding the universe because you don't trust the universe, because you don't understand what this place is. You don't understand what life's about. So you're trying to override the system and you're trying to force something. So you're going to go out and you're going to find this person. I'm going to go out. I'm going to date everybody until I find the right person. I've got a checklist. They got to do this. They got to do this. They got to do this. So all of those things, you know, that's not how it works. And so the people that come to you, the people that run across you, your soulmates, the people who are contracted in your experience to come in and be in relationships and stuff with you. So you learn from the relationships. And so once you go through your learning relationships, you'll reach a point where you're like, I am not doing this anymore. I don't want to date. I don't want to, you know, go have empty sex. All those things just become, you know, shallow and insignificant and pointless. And you start really recognizing I'm chasing something. And but the other way of doing it, the other side of the coin, the side that I'm on now is the healing, working on you. You become your best version of yourself by working on you and, you know, working with your guides, because they're always guiding you towards that journey. And then through the process, you're raising your vibration. Well, that magnetically pulls you towards the other people who are doing the same thing. And so the people who, as you raise your vibration, the vibration of the other people, like I explained this stuff a long while ago, but it kind of, you know, how to see it's the marbles, all the different color marbles, and the vibration shaking, and all the marbles go to their color on the board. They shake it, and then the marbles all go, like all the greens go to green, all the reds go to red. They don't go and mix. They go where their vibration is. So as you're raising your vibration and healing, you will automatically pull the people towards you that match your vibration. It is a magnetic pull. And it's, you know, it's all on vibration and frequency. And so, you know, you don't have to go out and like, okay, so is this the vibration I want to stop? Huh? Let's go out and date. Are these guys good enough for me? You know, it's all in the process. You'll know when you are at the right place, because the right person will come in and everything will click and it will be right. And so then it's a natural occurrence. It's not something you have to force. It is the same thing as like when I said it is impossible for the right person to reject you. That is something in your mind. That's mind play. Now you got to get out of your mind that the right person can reject you. It is, it's a vibration. It's a frequency. And it is like when you stop playing in the one realm of, you know, dating and going out, empty sex, all that kind of stuff, where we're out there looking for connection, and instead bringing it inside and working on you, and then trusting the universe that the connections will come at the right time. You don't have to go out and force it. The things that you want to go out and force is your own journey, your own adventures. It's on your adventures and stuff. It's on your journey is where the intersections happen, where you come across the right people. It's out on the adventure to self. It's out on your own personal journey. That is when you will naturally run across these people, and you will naturally feel the connection. And then, you know, depending on your healing, you know, if this person is there to teach you more about your healing, then those kinds of things would come up. But if they're there to, you know, as your companion to experience, then you will see there won't be, you know, it's like you're not going to have problems. You're not going to sit and fight about stuff. You're beyond that. You learned those lessons. So you don't go in, you know, to the relationship the same way. You're not the same person. You've actually developed. You've become somebody different. And going and doing the whole dating scene and empty sex, those are the people who come in to teach you. So a lot of them is going to be empty and yucky and, you know, because it's pushing you towards you. It's pushing you out of that, you know, toxic pool of self-identity, of trying to find connection. It's pushing you into your own. So, you know, you're going to be rejected. You're going, you know, because that's not where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be finding your best self, becoming your best self, so you can become in alignment with, I don't know, where people say like your other half and stuff. Like the person who I know, I mean, it's never changed. And since, you know, since my trigger, since 11/11/17 was the date, or was it 11/17/17? I don't even remember the date now. I think it was 11/11/17 was my trigger date. And my person has never changed, you know. And I could have gone into that space in myself where I went crazy and obsessive, and you know, and then you are forcing something. You're forcing a different experience. You got to relax. You got to just take the ride and see where it leads you, and trust that it's going to lead to that intersection, you know. And that is a part of your universal trust and stuff. But that is what you know, to find your better match. You know, in all these relationships, yeah, there's a lot of relationships that are going to end, and they're going to end in toxic ways. You know, not every relationship ends in this, you know, super sunny way. And even when, like Katie and the other Tom thought they had this perfect ending in their relationship, and they were on good terms and stuff like that. And then, you know, she's going out and having sex with strangers. And he's just like, you know, he's still feeling super rejected. And by the time that he even made out with Raquel, it was like 7 months in. He hadn't done anything. He had gained weight. He was feeling yucky about himself. He was depressed. And Katie, she's just out there rocking it. You know, she's dating. She's just out there Tinder, having sex, you know, doing her thing. And shame on him for kissing a girl when he's single. Like, it's so weird. I just, you know, I don't understand how these people think, but I can recognize it is their ego, it's their pain and trauma and their control. People, there's an ugly part of fear is control, where people feel like they have to control. They've got to control you. That's why these people come in and tell me, like, what I need to look at, what I need to focus on, what I need to be, who I need to be, what I need to talk about, and stuff like that, is because they need to have control. They need to control their reality to feel safe. And, you know, and you know, I was a person who could be controlled before. You know, I was, you know, a people pleaser. Okay, you can control me. Just tell me what you want from me. Just like me, please, like me. You know, the life of an insecure person is a rough life. But, you know, it's beautiful when you can heal, but it's very uncomfortable to stand up to people when it's not something that you are good at. And that's why, you know, I had the gift of my daughter teaching me boundaries. You know, and she'd step in all the time, and I would get, I mean, there was times I would get so angry, like, what in the hell? What is her fucking problem? And that is when I went in, because I'm telling you, it's when you go in and you ask them, you know, what am I supposed to be learning here? What are you trying to show me? Like, well, this is some bullshit. And they told me, she's teaching me boundaries. I'm supposed to be learning boundaries here. I'm not supposed to be just sitting there going like, you know, telling her she's wrong, she's this, you know, talk to me about her, do this about her, you know. I'm supposed to be learning my boundaries, my own, you know, how I feel about me. And so, and she's come in and taught me several times through this thing. And I feel fortunate, you know, as one thing that you realize when you are learning that stuff is, because you'll be angry at the person who's pushing you to have boundaries. You'll be mad, like, fuck, you know, like, you know, if my kids would push me, I don't want to get mad. Quit pushing me, you know. It's the same kind of thing, you know. But you have got to allow yourself to feel uncomfortable, to feel like the bad guy. You know, it's nobody wants to feel like the bad guy, but you got to feel like the bad guy. You know, you got to be like, you know, no, you're not going to talk to me that way. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going, you know, stand up. And you don't have to fight and argue, even though, you know, through mine, I've talked about it. There's been some fighting. I mean, especially when she was staying here and stuff, you know, we had some big arguments. And it's always, you know, I know her lessons are her lessons and my lessons are my lessons. I knew what lessons because they had been telling me what my lessons were. And she, you know, she told me she would go in and ask all the time, like, why do I keep having these problems with my mom? Like, what is the problem? You know, and I don't know what her guidance is, you know, but I know mine was telling me that, you know, she was helping me learn. She was bringing this stuff up in me so that I could learn to set myself better boundaries and stand up for myself. But, you know, there was a lot of misunderstanding. It's like we're talking in two different things. Like, and I see this all the time. When I was watching that whole damn show, as what was blowing my mind, there is so much that we argue about when it is just a miscommunication. Somebody is saying something that we don't understand. We think we understand it because what we mean when we say something like that, so we assume that we know what they mean. but it is very different. And there's so much frustration when you sit as an observer, like the watchers who watch us and stuff. I'm sure that they are just dumbfounded by the creation of the division of our own inability to really hear what somebody else is saying, you know. And this is something that my daughter has told me a lot, that daughter, you know, that I was constantly assuming that I knew what she meant by something. And she would think that she knew what I meant. We do that to each other, all people, as I watched it through that whole show. And then plus the people who kept being misunderstood, it was like, look, I understand exactly what they're saying. Like, it isn't. And then when you get this gang mentality where it's the gang deciding, no, they're wrong. No, I don't understand them either. And you know what? You got to get out of this having to have a gang behind you. It is, you know, it's like needing a yes man. It's like Sheena. Like, she needs somebody, a yes man, to stand there all the time telling her, you're okay, you're doing right, you're great. You know, you got to learn how to do that for yourself. You know, it's very toxic to need other people around you to do that for you. If you have doubts, that's your soul talking to you. So stop and listen. You know, if you have doubts about yourself, listen to what your soul has to say about it. Don't just listen to what your ego and the dark energy that is trying to corrupt your mind is saying. Listen to your soul. Go in and spend time in communication. Sit in silence or stand, wash the dishes, or whatever. However, you've got to find your own quiet space. A space where you're all of a sudden you realize, like, you're not thinking anymore. You're not overthinking. There's something going on. And you know, and always have questions, you know, have your questions. Because I'm telling you, that is what will really, really help you so much to be able to start really realizing that you're really talking to somebody is when they start answering your questions and you ask something and you get the answer back that you don't know. And believe you me, you'll know that it's the right answer. You'll feel it. It is really, really crazy. But it's those kinds of things that will help you to really get into that, the supernatural mind, you know, this other reality, you know, that they want to tell you that it doesn't exist, that it very well does exist. And so anyways, but it is each person's own journey to themselves. Because you find yourself, your soul, all that, when you go inside, when you go internal. And what was that? Oh, I just saw a thing too that said the people who talk to themselves, those people are the smartest people. Like, if you, whatever, what they're testing or whatever, the people who talk to themselves have a higher intelligence. Because when you're talking to yourself, you're not just talking to yourself. That's an illusion. You're talking to beings that are trying to help you to grow. So when you're in communication in your own mind, you're not just, you know, spinning out on, you know, what somebody did to you or what you did last night and overplaying it, you know, what somebody said to you and what you should have said to them, you know, and overplaying it. You know, those are your thoughts. That's you just spinning out on a, you know, what I shoulda, woulda, coulda, you know. And so when you aren't doing that part and you're in the silent mind, that is where there's a lot of communication. And that's why I said that, you know, it's different. It's not just one person, because you'll hear it in different places. And they communicate in different ways. Like I said, some will with a knowing, some will with a picture, some will with words, some will with telepathy, some will with a whole, like, give you a whole vision. Like, they all have different ways of communicating. And you will hear things like when I'm looking in one way, I may be looking with my eyes out here, but in my mind, I'm looking inside over here in my mind. And when I'm looking over here, I'm looking over here, because it's all different. But you don't, it's like, If you're just focused up here and you're spinning out on your own, woulda, coulda, shoulda, then you aren't. It's like being in a house and you're at the windows and you're just focused on what's outside in the outside the window instead of focusing on what's in the house. And so when you focus on what's in the house, then, you know, you have different rooms, you have different energies, you have different things. And think about micro, macro. So anyways, it's important for you to take control of your focus, you know, and it's about mind control, but it's about you getting control of your mind instead of letting them have control. Because until you have control of your mind, they've got control of your mind. They use all sorts of techniques, but they're controlling your mind until you get control of your mind. And that is pursuant. You got to pursue control of your mind, you know, and it's a workout. It's like going to the gym. Like I said yesterday, it's like entering the gym and you're 400 pounds and you got, you know, a goal of 120 or something, and you've got to work out. It's a work. And so, you know, to get control of your mind, it is, you know, it's a big old floppy thing, you know, and you got to get control of it. So it is a process. It's a learning process. It's development. And you're not, as long as you are focused on what you want to focus on, you're not doing anything wrong. You know, the only time that, to me, when people are doing things wrong, which is not even wrong because you still learn from it, is, you know, trying to control life, things about life that you can't control. To me, that is kind of like, you know, like Nimrod just sitting there bashing his head up against the wall or something. So it is, you know, you got to start recognizing, okay, I don't have control over this. So what do I have control over? You know, and start there, you know, and start driving yourself crazy. Start realizing, you know, like you're on a ride. The ride's in motion, and it's not going to go off. And, you know, just because you're like, oh, let's go over that way. No, the ride's got its own trajectory. Its own, whatever that is. I keep seeing like the roller coaster, you know, you're going to get on it. It's going its own thing. So you get birthed in, you're on the ride. It's on its own track. And you can sit there and be distracted by, you know, that person's track or that person's track. And that person's got it better. That person's prettier. That person's, you know, all of the different things. So you can focus outside of you. But you're just missing out on your own ride as long as you're doing that. But that is a part what you came in to learn. That is where you will, you know, you either do it in your time of reflection, or you do it in your time of reflection at the end, you know, when you go to your life review. So all of the things, you know, you can learn and grow here. You don't have to wait until you pass over and go over the life review. But there's a lot of uncomfortable things because you're breaking programming. You're very programmed. And so, you know, and people just, you know, they just don't realize too, like leaving religion all the way back in the 70s and 80s and stuff and going towards spirituality, you were a weirdo. Like you were the ultimate weirdo. Like whatever we, at this period of time, like we were the Dylans back then. You know, we were the weirdos that, you know, people didn't understand. Like, why would you leave the church and go off on your own? Like, where do you think, like, God's talking to you? You think you have, you know, like it was a thing, you know, and it was, you had to be strong. You had to be strong in spirit. You had to be strong of mind to be able to put up with the bullying from it for such a long time. And there's so much of people trying to get you to do different things. And I've gone back to different churches at different times and thought, you know, because I went to the Unitarian Universalist Church or whatever. And when I started going there, I think my kids were little. My husband and I had talked, and we were like, well, maybe we need to raise our kids in the church or something. Maybe that would be a good way to give them, you know, moral, you know, I mean, you know what I mean. And so we decided to go there because that church was open to gay people, because even that was a thing that a lot of people don't realize. Like, gay people weren't allowed to go to church, and it was a big thing. That's why, you know, it's a shame how this LGBTQ whatever has taken over from these people who were out there really, really fighting to just be respected as human, you know, just be allowed to, and it was about love. Like, they weren't just fighting to have sex with people. They were fighting to be accepted for loving the same gender. You know, so it was a big fight that they were going through, and to be accepted. And you know, and then there was some churches that did start letting them come and stuff. But, and you know, it's been a big thing, and it's really sad to see what they're doing to these people. Like, when I see some of these people speaking out and stuff, you know, because this affects different people in different ways, and it is affecting, you know, some people. It's about, you know, who you're surrounded by and stuff. So, and that is all for one to acknowledge for themselves, you know. And if you're not surrounded by people who build you up, who are toxic, that is where, you know, we're headed towards building community. So you're headed towards being around people who build you up. So, but you also have to build others up. So you can't just be taking everybody, you know, like a Sheena. You know, now I've got like a Sheena is representative of this, you know, take. Lala is representative of this anger, out of control. But I do think we all have Lala inside of us. We all have Sheena inside of us. We all have all these things inside of us. But it is, you can see when somebody is really representative of that being out of balance. And like Lala is very out of balance on, but she's so in her ego, and you can hear in the things that she says. So, you know, her anger and her bitterness and her rage and stuff like that. It's like, girl, you should be judging somebody else. You should be trying to figure out how to, you know, control yourself. Work on that. But instead, just sit around judging others and looking down on other people, so you don't have to worry about you. You can just sit there and think everybody else has got a problem. And that's why, you know, we got to change with this victim mentality, and you know, change it into empowerment and taking control. And the things that happen to you happen for you. You know, Ariana has got to see, like, you know, I'm sure things will turn around. She'll probably, though, always be one that, I mean, there's this whole liberal movement of women who just is like a badge of honor to be bitter and hateful. So, you know, it's each person, it's up to you to break that, you know, break free from that. It is definitely a dark energy, and it's definitely has a hold of a lot of women. And, you know, but that is, in order to get to your purity, to really be the divine feminine that one is, and to be, you know, nurturer, and also be in clarity of self, you know, like having boundaries and not just be somebody else's clay, is, you know, it's a journey to get there. And so, I don't remember what I was going to say. It was something else. But anyways, you know, it is, you know, it's part of the process. And don't hide from life because you don't want to grow, or you don't want to feel pain, because you grow. It isn't, don't get stuck on the pain of life. You know, be stuck on the growth of it, you know, the birthing of the possibilities, the newness, you know. So, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of people right now who are going through, you know, the universe is taking, and people, so many people are feeling like that they did something wrong. They're bad people. You know, that they're being punished. The God up in the sky, the Punisher, he's punishing them. And it is, you got to look at it the opposite. You gotta look at it as the universe is shaking everything up so it can fall in a different place. But it is you who get to pick up the pieces. You get to figure out what pieces you want to pick up. And you are the one is determining where you're going to go from here. So it is all in, how you choose to heal, what you choose to do with what happens to you in life. Do you choose to become a negative, hateful, bitter person? Or do you choose to grow and become better and see the possibilities and trust the universe that, you're headed to a better place? When you do your healing and all of that stuff, you're going towards a better place, not a worse place. And punishment is the same thing as death. That's an illusion. That is what they tell you because it's a part of their control. So they control you through the idea of death. They control you through the idea of punishment. And it's all concepts that are created by them. So it's not like universal consciousness isn't about punishment. It's about experience. It's about expansion. And every bit of expansion comes from experience. And this was something yesterday. Let me think of what it was. Because they showed me this when I was outside and I was thinking about something. And they showed me this situation. And it was like, oh man, a super toxic thing. But then, man, they're just totally blocking that. Fuck. But it is, it's the opposite. It is, people aren't going deep enough. They're looking at things from the wrong way. So just, look at things from the other way. What was that? Because they were showing me something about this healing kind of thing. No, it was something that somebody was doing. It was super toxic. And then it was, but all those things are so you can learn. And maybe it'll come to me. It's just way too, it's way too vague. I can't make it out. There's so many things though, so many all throughout the day. I mean, if you are, I feel bad, I know there's people who have to be at work and they want to heal. There's people who have kids. There's people in bad marriages. They want to heal. Everybody wants to heal. And how do you find the time? And I've just, been lucky enough to have nothing but time, which can feel like a punishment. So it's all in how you look at it. But, I've definitely had a lot of time in isolation and a lot of time for healing. And so, but in that time of isolation, my communication is mostly with the other side. And so all day long, they're constantly showing me things, telling me things, and they're fascinating things. And so, it really does help you, but you got to have that time to have that quiet time, build that relationship. Think of it as, being on a date with yourself, building that relationship, building the relationship with your guidance, with your communication, and focusing on that. And that will really help you with your healing because you'll get feedback. You'll get reflection of things that you need to heal. And, all the things that happen, everything that happens in life, that, situations and stuff, you can go in and ask them, clarify to me, show me, why is this happening? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to be seeing through this experience? And ask to be shown and see so it can help you to grow. Like all this stuff, you will grow through it. And growth can take a long time or it can take a short time. It depends on you. It depends on what you, your effort, So, but if it takes a long time, there's nothing, that was always going to be that way. You're not doing it wrong. You're never doing anything wrong. You're always doing what you're supposed to do. And you're always learning what you're supposed to learn. It is more of becoming aware to that, becoming awakened to that aspect of life. So anyways, now I've been talking a long time. She did go back to sleep. But man, that was a rough night. And she keeps licking this one paw on the underneath. So I don't know. I was going to take her down to the river today, but she's really, really stiff. I don't know. She likes to drink the river water and the lake water, and there's no fucking telling what the hell they put in that shit too. Like, man. Yeah, you just really got to stay, you know, focused on your reality, what is happening right in your space. And I really think that you know, I was different videos and stuff I've been seeing, and when I'm shown in my head and stuff, so what I see is like, if we're on this big land mass, and this is to me the Truman Show, like they've got their own stuff orbiting, you know, they're creating an illusion to explain to us what this place is. So they've got, you know, a rotation, and also the universe is always in movement. It is this movement that goes. And so it is always in movement. So all of the stars and the energy is always moving. But it's like the moon, and now we know there's more to this sun situation. Because the sun is a portal. It's like a plasmic portal. And even like, was there heat even ever coming from it? Or were they just heating up the planet with Hart or something? Like, but there is definitely the heat coming from this sun that they have over my house is intense. And that's why I said it's like they put a lens up in front to make it more intense. So it's not like we're seeing the sun. We're seeing this lens that is making the sun stronger, you know, like the kids with the magnifying glasses with the ants. When you're a little kid and they get them, and then they would put the magnifying glass and they'd use the sun to pop the ants. And you could use it like a ray, and you could pop the ants. And I saw kids doing it when I was a little kid. I don't know. I guess every kid needs to have one of those little weird science friends that has got all the little lab stuff in their house. But anyways, with this sun thing, because the pictures I'm seeing over on the East Coast where they've got so much smoke in the air, there's some shit up there. And so, you know, when that stuff is coming in, like with our rotations and stuff like this, it's like, it's different than what we think. Like, I'm not even sure how it all goes, but this Nibiru or whatever is, I think it's over like by the East Coast. And then, so however, whatever all this movement that is occurring, that it will be back over here, because I've seen it over here. Like, even when I was on that road trip and I was talking about, it was like this giant shadow. Like, it was like you could feel it. It was tripping me out. And I had to keep looking, like something was like over my shoulder. It was just so trippy. And I was like, there is something there. There's no fucking way that is not. And so, and now, I mean, we've seen so many photos and stuff that Nibiru is there. And now knowing, you know, it's the Anunnaki returning, that is their wormwood. It's not really a planet. It's a, but see, that's the thing, is the planets aren't like planets like we think. Like, we think of planets and stuff, but planets are their land masses that are around us. And these things that are traveling around are ships and stuff. It's like energy, like for the spirit, this is an avatar. For the avatar, then we can create a car, shoes, all these things for us to move around. And so that's what these big planetary, what we think are these big planets, I think are like motherships and shit. So anyways, but you can see those ones. And so as they're coming in, and where are they coming from? They're coming from another dimension. They're coming from other realities. They're not coming from out in the sky. They're coming through, they're traveling through realms. Like, our realms are busting apart. The sky is opening to show us other realms. And so, you know, I don't know how it's all going to go down, but definitely it seems like there's a lot, you know, that they're trying to cover on the East Coast. and they're using the smoke. And of course they got to use, you know, every opportunity they can to make people sick and poison them and stuff like that. And so, I had more things, but I don't know, just keep talking and talking, and then I won't be able to get up. I'll say this one real quick. Because yesterday, because I had talked about this before, but yesterday I saw there's a content creator. He's a pretty big one, and he was talking about that he had just heard a story that shocked him, and so he wanted to share it. Well, I've told this story because it's the same story as my story, and I have told this story. So I did it on TikTok yesterday because I thought, well, if this is shocking, more people need to hear the confirmation. Yes, this is true. So I'll say it here again real quick. Because when I was, my first marriage, because, you know, if you're new, you may not know, I'm a relationship junkie, workaholic, shopaholic was my problems. And so, and I was born to an alcoholic, and so I was married to one after another until I didn't even do it for myself. The last husband pushed me off of the cycle. He pushed me off the merry-go-round, and I fell down, and I had to pick myself up, and it was right after having a brain injury, and so I had to pick myself up, and, you know, it's been and that all happened in 2009, was my brain injury, and 2015 was my last divorce, and so 2011 is when I got diagnosed with the brain injury, though, because it was medical malpractice. It was in denial. They would never say. I had to go to another city and go through, I've gone through so many tests and shit. But anyways, so, you know, that's my, root. I talk about all this stuff in lots of videos, older videos. But, so in the, what was I going to say? That's what always happens. I start telling the backstory and I forget what the fucking story I was about to tell. Oh yeah, so when I was leaving the first marriage, so when I got married the first time, I was young. My dad paid me, and it was back in the day where people were embarrassed. And I was always doing things that were embarrassing. I was always doing things that were against the rules. You know, nobody does that. And so I moved in with a guy, and I was like 19. I left Texas, went to California. I moved in with a guy. My dad was super embarrassed. And so he paid me to get married. I took the payment because I wanted to go back to Europe. And so I was using the money to go back to Europe. And then I thought me and this fellow were friends, and I thought, you know, we'd have a good time. And, but we weren't friends. Like, that was the beginning of where, it was the beginning of, there was the beginning of all my stuff with relationships and guys started way sooner. Like, I was been so toxic for so long. But in marriage, I was married to this person. And so, and I didn't think I could ever get pregnant. I had never used birth control, and I never got pregnant. And my period was always jacked up. And somehow, as soon as I got married to this person, I got pregnant. And so you got to recognize that things happen the way they're supposed to happen, because that's the way they're supposed to happen. And so I was then in my own mental space trapped into this marriage. Now, you know, I had a kid with this person, and they were they are mentally ill. Like, they are, I'm not just saying that, they really are. They're mentally ill and have been living, like, they were homeless. They moved up to Washington. They left California when their parents died. They came up to try and live off the kids, my grown kids. So, I mean, the person really was, and I, you know, but it was something I didn't recognize. You know, I went into this relationship, and it was, I learned a lot. You know, I was stalked. I was fucking strangled. Like, I went through a lot of shit in that relationship. It was a hard time. And right when I had finally got enough power where I was going to leave him, I got pregnant again. It was like the universe was like, no, you're not done here. You've got a lot more to learn. I was like, fuck you guys. This is fucked. So we ended up splitting up. And it was hellacious. It was so hellacious. You know, as through all of the stuff that he was doing to me is when, you know, my mom, you know, I'm crying and falling apart. And that's when my mom told me, oh, that abortion pill just didn't work. That's what's wrong with you. Thanks, Mom. Good news, good news. God, I feel so good. I was like, I can't even cry. I mean, everything about me, I was told for so long. I was, you know, I was a weirdo. I've always been. Now I know that was a good thing. I didn't know it wasn't a good thing back then. I just couldn't understand why I was so weird. But when I got divorced from him, there's no way I wanted to have more kids. That was the hardest, most challenging time of my life. And I was going more into, I was going and hanging out in Hollywood, and, you know, I was young and I was doing stuff, and I wanted to get my tubes tied. I did not want to get pregnant again. And now I saw pregnancy as like, whoa, it can just fucking happen. And so I wanted to go, oh, the sun is coming through there. I wanted to go get a tubal. And so I started that, I think I was 26 when I started going and saying I wanted to get a tubal, going to the doctor, I want to get a tubal. They won't do it. They refuse. And, you know, I kept doing it and doing it and kept asking. They kept saying, no, 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 you're too young. You can't make that decision at that age. You don't know what you're going to want in the future. You might want more kids and stuff like that. And I was determined. I was like, hell no. You know, I'm partying. I'm in Hollywood. I'm hanging out. I'm not having more kids. And I pushed and pushed and pushed. And I was, because I worked in medical, I was the office manager of a doctor's office. I knew a lot of doctors. And there was a doctor who, man, there's times where I was pretty skeezy. Like, I really thought this doctor was super cute. So he became my gynecologist. But anyways, I begged him into doing the tubal. And so I did eventually get the tubal. I was like 28 years old. And I got the tubal. And, but I had to beg for it. And then I, you know, was hanging out in Hollywood doing all this stuff. And then, you know, drama and stuff happened. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get out of this. I got to change my life. And at that point I was tattooing and stuff too. And so, when I wanted to change my life, and then, I did, then I wanted a reversal. I got married, I had 2 more kids, and I did end up having a reversal. So see, the thing is with the system, you know, they won't let a grown-ass woman with kids go in and say she wants to change. I mean, I had to beg and beg. And then even when I did get what I wanted, it still wasn't what I wanted. I still didn't even know what I wanted. And I was almost 30. So, you know, and they're letting little kids make decisions. I mean, you got grown-ass adults. Yeah. And the grown-ass adults don't even realize how much of their ego, how much, I mean, that lady out of that video showed. Like, it's her. She's the one trying to be accepted, and she's making her kids be the ones going out there flying their flags to get her to be accepted. It's like, people, you can't, people have got to become confident and sure of themselves. And I mean, I don't understand the desperation to be accepted by certain groups, other than the fact that people have been bullied before and they want to be accepted by certain groups. So, here she goes. She's walking like a little old man. So anyways, now I have talked for a long ass time. It's almost 2 hours again. So I'm going to get my wobbly ass up and go do something else. So y'all have a good day. And, you know, just look at things. That's what I think the most important thing is just don't get stuck with how you look at something. Try and look at it from a lot of different ways. Try and keep gaining perspective. Make everything bigger. Don't get stuck. The thing why we see so much division, people are so stuck on these little things. They're dividing on these little petty shit. And, you know, with more clarity and more vision, then, you know, we relieve ourselves from all that division. And we are moving into these groups with our colored marbles, you know, into our communities, into where we can thrive. And so when you see people who are not, you know, on your level, just let it go. You know, don't be sad. Don't be disappointed. And even if it is your kids or your family and stuff and it's making you super nervous, just remember that you will be the one who is holding the light to show them which way to go. And it is, you know, walking the walk. Don't, it isn't forcing and coercion. It's walking the path and walking it with dignity and pride so that other people can see, well, that's the way I want to go. So, you know, and it's not, and I'm not talking about, you know, getting people to follow your own path. I'm talking about you following the path of authenticity, your truth, yourself. You know, be true to yourself, and that will get everybody else to be more comfortable to be true with themselves, and that will put them on their best path. And so, you know, your best path is your truth, your authenticity. So, and everybody's got to find their own. So anyways, I'll just talk to you later. Bye.